Jeff DeForest, Michael Lubie. Very happy to welcome this gentleman to the program. It's always great having a basketball conversation with him. And think about, how great this guy is that after throwing a Henry Finkel reference at him, he still volunteers to be in our program. Suggesting that you would have Hank Finkel shooting a three, we welcome Ron Rothstein, the coach, to the show. And, of course, doing a great job as a Heat analyst now in his most recent capacity with the team. Coach, how are you? I mean, we haven't had this feeling here since like 1969. I mean, this is a real Cinderella story. How are you, my friend?
First of all, I do question my sanity every time I say yes.
What a way to ruin a morning, yeah. Do you believe, Ron Rothstein, and obviously well-versed in coaching experience, that if Eric Spoelstra was an assistant on Red Klotz's staff, that the Generals might have gone 500 against the Globetrotters? Is he that good? Is he that good?
Well, that's, come on now, be fair. You got to be fair. Come on, man.
Who would fit the category, I guess? I don't know. Auerbach?
No one. Maybe Lubie, but not you.
The time. Wake up with Defo. Welcome to the Defo Show.
That's probably closer to the truth, is it not? Mike Lubie. Welcome to the show, by the way, the Defo Show here in South Florida Live. Great to be with you on this fine Thursday. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubitz. Try and stay on the light side here before we get Lubie doing his Joe Pesci diatribe about the Miami Heat game last night, the officials, and the fact that they may have mailed one in, which he doesn't really care for. That would be your thing if you were Robert De Niro and the fan. That was essentially his beef, wasn't it, with the player, that he wasn't living up to his potential, that he mailed one in? And that was your assertion somewhat. That would be how you categorize those flat efforts every time you watch one of your teams play. But good to be with you. And, that whole thing with Ron Rothstein was great. I would assert this, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about the whole Red Klotz question, because now we've put it to three different people. You're going to get some kind of a laugh out of that. I mean, you would assume that was going to be the case, unless you were talking to like Rick Barry or something, and he just blew right through that and said, well, never mind Red Klotz. Let's talk about my game with the Oakland Oaks in 1968. Okay, Rick, I was just going to turn a page in time and go back to that. But you could probably put all of the Reds on the bench there with Red Klotz. You could put Auerbach and you could put Red Holtzman on the bench there, and they still wouldn't have gotten more than one win. Because I would imagine, I don't know, did you ever read about this, the one victory of the Washington Generals over the Globetrotters? I would imagine it's been documented somewhere, no? You would think that a 30 for 30 would be dedicated to it the night that wasn't supposed to be, which I guess could describe last night for you, Mike Lubitz, the night that wasn't supposed to be. Although you feared this from the start, Mr. Paranoia, Mr. Psychopathic sports fan that always believes that your teams are in jeopardy. As, I boldly predicted on the Mike Mayo Lunchbox show, without any qualification whatsoever. Not qualification in terms of being able to judge these sort of things, but, no possible hedging on this. Although, did I really believe it, Lubie? What do you think? Was I just saying something to, make the people feel good? Was that just a gratuitous radio host, a streaming host position where you go, I think both of our teams are going to win tonight?
Ethan said the same thing. Ethan Skolnick, at least about the Heat, was very confident, and I get it because whatever Gallup the Knicks have raised,
he was sure fired. Yeah, he thought it was for sure.
Whatever Gallup. Well, a lot of people who were saying the same thing too. I have Knick friends that congratulated me, and I didn't respond. I was like, look, I don't know. I don't think the Knicks are as good as New York people thought they were, and that's one thing. But we'll see. I mean, you don't know. It's what this Heat team was the entire year. Whenever they had opportunities to go, oh, wow, they can go and seize that 5th seed. Wow, they can get that 4th seed. They'd lose to like a freaking Hornets. Like they did it all year, but in the playoffs, they hadn't done it. In the playoffs, when those opportunities were there, even if they got down by 15 with 6 minutes left versus the Bucks, they find a way to win. So that's why a lot of people like Ethan, like you, were like, okay, maybe they've turned a corner. Maybe they're different. I just had a reservation because Jimmy Butler gets weird in these situations. Jimmy Butler can be
You
super.
should have definitely hammered the under on number of Jimmy Butler points in that game.
I mean, what's just
See, you. It's funny, Lubie. You may be ahead of your time, and you may not even realize what is your real skill. Because if you could have predicted that this was going to be one of those wandering minstrel games for Jimmy Butler, where you're saying, "Shoot it, Jimmy, shoot it, do your thing, man, get into the paint there." I saw a call last night. This was in the Laker game. They called 5 seconds on LeBron James.
wow.
5 seconds. He was, doing a Mark Jackson thing where he was backing down a guy and he was going to take a shot right before the shot clock expired, and it was getting down there. But I guess Stan Van Gundy was doing a game as the color analyst, and he said he didn't think he'd seen that call all season. They never call that. They call that at the Posnack Jewelry Center. Right? All of a sudden, you're dribbling the ball up and down. They go 5 seconds. Ball goes to the other team. Right? The guy grabs it from you like it was. Jokic and that owner Ishbir or whatever his name is, Ishmael from the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah,
Was that a quick sale? Right? Did they even check this guy out? Who is he? Does he even have the wherewithal to own a shirt on his back? I mean, that was a quick one. The first guy that came along with money. They wanted to get rid of that previous owner so badly. That was unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, if you could have predicted, Lubie, that this was going to be one of those bizarre games by Jimmy Butler, where after being the talk of the postseason, it was playoff Jimmy all over the place. The headline in the Sacramento Bee was, "Hey, watch out for playoff Jimmy," in case we get that far, which they didn't. But the whole world was in recognition that, oh my God, we have underrated this player, and it seemed like vindication, didn't it? That finally he was getting this recognition that. You would have to think that, as much as he sort of pushes away the notion that he really cares about what people think about him, seems like he really cares about what people think about him, doesn't it? Like, one of those so-called chip on the shoulder type of approaches. Well, they never really respected me. What do you think, Louie? Am I making that up? Doesn't that sound good? I mean, I sound like Colin Cowherd playing, armchair shrink.
I mean,
What do you think?
That guy. That's literally why when the Julians of the world were just giving the Knicks this series, which I still think is ridiculous. I mean, the Knicks don't look like the better team. Even last night when they were winning by whatever, I'm like, yeah, the Heat aren't playing, guys.
They look like two teams that were lucky to make it this far.
I'm sorry. Like, the Knicks aren't the better team. If you want to say the Heat aren't better either, fine. Whatever. You're being weird. The Knicks aren't better. They're not the better team. They're just not. So I thought, but I was like, keep that though, because this team, especially Butler, loves that. The being discounted, the being forgotten, the being underrated. Like, Butler thrives on that shit.
Yeah.
And that's
the
why
whole Michael Jordan thing.
Versus the Bucks, because no matter what was going on in that series, the Heat didn't matter. It was never about the Heat. It was always about the Bucks. So Butler never felt the praise. This series, nationally, they won't talk about the Heat. Nationally, nothing has to do with the Heat. It's either the weather or Julius Randle is.
We're bikini-clad babes around the pool at the Fontainebleau, sipping $25 martinis. That's what Miami is. We're not a basketball town.
That's what the national conception is. However, they have been praising Butler specifically. Butler, like you just said, has been getting lots of praise. And he sort of lulls when that happens. When that happens,
I mean, you're expecting him to rip open a shirt there and have a big, giant SB, Super Jimmy Butler. And it wasn't there last night. Nothing was there really, except for the fact that they were in the game late. I mean, they'd cut it. Did they get any closer than 3?
They cut it to 2. Robinson and Martin.
And the Hack-a-Shack thing that Spoelstra did.
The stupidest thing, and
I thought it was brilliant. I mean, did you see that guy's form on the free throws? How does he ever make any?
He went 3 of 4. It was a dumbass strategy,
but it was worth a shot, don't you think? I mean, I thought it was a stroke of genius. I really did. I don't care that it backfired, because when you saw that guy's form on free throws, Chris Dudley was looking like Bill Sharman compared to this guy. No,
look, if you're playing a team that's hard to defend, sure. It's the Knicks. Sorry, you can defend the goddamn Knicks, and that's what bothers me. It's not the Lakers of the 2000s. It's not the Warriors where you have to defend 3 of the all-time great shooters. So let's go foul Andrew Bogut.
So you were upset with the Hack-a-Shack approach there.
Hated it. It was a 4-point game
with Robinson.
It was a 6-point game, 5-point game. Like, what do you do? You gave them 3 points.
It looked to me like they were going to chip away. Honestly, Lubie, I don't know that I've seen a shot, an uglier form on a free throw where it appeared there might have been, more bricklaying styles, but where it literally appeared with the trajectory this guy put on the shot and everything that no shot had a chance of ever going in.
No, his form is
And
literally.
I mean, this was stone brick city if I ever saw it.
He shot one the last game, and I'm like, oh, because it was late in the game. I'm like, oh, I guess he's trying to miss it on purpose. Like that's his
Exactly,
form.
and that's what it looks like.
That's his form.
Like you want to bonk that thing off the front rim as hard as you can and hope it comes right back to you at the free throw line.
But then they didn't react like it was that way. I'm like, oh, I guess that's his form. I'm like, oh my God. So like I understood the idea, but my problem is you are sort of admitting defeat at that. Like you only do it to teams you don't think you can defend in that moment.
I thought it was going to work. I really did, because even when they first did it, and he made the first free throw in very improbable fashion, and then I mean, just you could. I'm surprised that Iron Eagle didn't actually use the term brick on the second one. Is that something that's a faux pas among NBA media where they've all agreed not to call certain shots a brick? You don't hear the term. I mean, it couldn't be any more of an accurate description of what this guy's free throw shooting form would automatically produce. I mean, even the ones that went in were bricks. Occasionally, a brick will go in. You know that, right?
It's a horrible form, and if the game was a little bit more out of reach and with less time, sure. But my thing was there was like I think 5 or 6 minutes. Like there was a lot.
It worked. I mean, he made one, and the Heat came back, and I think got a 3. On the subsequent possession. And so, all of a sudden the game went from 7-5, which was great. And you're thinking, wow, keep doing this. But then the guy stuck 2 of them right in there. And Thibodeau really looks like he's about to, absolutely collapse on the court out of depression, doesn't he?
Does look like he's going to.
You ever seen a more miserable looking fuck than Tom Thibodeau? I don't know if he really is that way, but I mean, even in the interview, you could tell this is like the last thing he wants to do. I mean, Spo will, rise to the occasion there and say something very Riley-esque about philosophy and how Udonis Haslem is a guy with, a shield out there that's protecting these guys' psychology, so that they never fall apart. Right? We are the strongest mental team in the league. Okay, thanks, Spo. Right? The guy asks him about an out of bounds play. He gives him this whole Eastern, philosophy.
Yeah.
Sitar music is being played in the background as Spo speaks. During the fourth quarter, innocuous interview where the guy goes, he's stumbling out onto the floor there. And, coach, yeah, you're supposed to do this. Okay, yeah, give me 2 questions. Anyway, that didn't work out well yesterday. I guess that's the bottom line. All of our analysis is going to lead to the point where as I would imagine many people figured this. It did seem logical, didn't it? After the Heat went up 3-1 and won the 2 games at home, and they did it in somewhat convincing fashion.
Yes, both games they were in control. Yeah. Both of them.
Right? Yes, I mean, and I would agree with your assessment. The Knicks are who we thought they were. They're not all that brilliant. They're okay.
Look,
they had a nice, bounce back season from, last year, and they got Brunson, and he turned out to be a great acquisition for them. So on that front, they made improvement. Are they still the so-called proverbial player away, at least?
Yes,
from being a championship caliber team, probably so.
I think the Heat are too. I'm not saying the Heat. That's the funny thing is that the Heat should, in all intents and purposes, come out and win. No, Butler played Butler bad. Butler had opportunities the entire night. When Butler comes down and gives the ball up in the first 6 seconds and then doesn't work for the ball, that's not the defense. Like Butler's done that versus freaking. What is your guy?
You have problems with a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde nature.
It's Butler. In that, I'm sorry, Giannis and Drew Holiday double teaming him is more of an infringing thing, and he would going and dunking on it like that. It wasn't Grimes. He's not scared of Grimes. That's Butler. Like Butler, he had 12 attempts. It wasn't Grimes' tough defense that made him have 12 attempts. He has these games in the 4 playoff runs. Like we've seen this. And remember, I bitched about it on the radio. I used to bitch about this all the time when I would be like, "Where did Jimmy Butler go?"
And you're still bitching about it at
he does this
very high level.
And you can give the Knicks credit. It's fine. Do whatever you want. I'm just telling you. I've complained about this for 4 years now. But I don't know. The Knicks played better, and I give them credit for that. And then the Heat also play down, and I that's my concern with this team in these moments, and
Yeah.
that's what it was. You saw it, like, and I give the Knicks credit. Look, Brunson played great, and Brunson, if you give Brunson, he's right there with like Kawhi. Like his mid-range jumper is fucking amazing. Like the dude, if he has any space, 15 to 20 feet, he's making it. Like
Yeah.
it's
No,
impressive.
he was working his ass off out there. He really was. I mean, to even create the space to take those mid range jumpers, a lot of those had a high degree of difficulty on him. Especially, you labeled him, as a sub midget freak.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's what they're going to make him. He's not a number one, and I'm very convinced at that. But he might be a number two. I think he's more of a number
You
three.
see who was in a crowd, though? I mean, that's why the Knicks couldn't lose. The former senator and the great New York Knick,
Bradley, yeah, Bill
Bill
Bradley.
Bradley. Yeah.
And also
Coming off those picks at Princeton, man, we loved Bill Bradley. White kids that wore the low top, I mean, the low Converse All Stars. We love Bill Bradley, man. That was our guy. Bradley, DeBuscher, was more of a hustler and a muscler inside than Bradley was. Bradley was just taking that jump shot from 17 feet away all the time, right around the screen from Willis Reed. Absolutely fantastic. But he, being in the crowd, probably had some kind of influence, I would think. It wasn't a great game by either team, I wouldn't say. I mean, the Knicks looked like they were in command. The Heat looked like they were having just kind of a listless, lackluster night for the most part. Still almost got back into it and won it through the coaching genius of one Eric Spoelstra, Red Auerbach-esque, Red Holzman-esque. And now you have the situation that most people foresaw, which, would have followed the logic of the 3-1 lead there in the two games. They won at home, that they probably go up to Madison Square Garden, lose, and come back here and wrap up the series in 6 games. Now, if that doesn't happen, Mike Lubitz,
it's going to be annoying and stressful and piss me off.
Then all bets are off at that point.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you want to
you have a chance to fall into infamy. Think about how fragile the nature of sports opinions, the foundation for them anyway. I mean, 1 minute you can't say enough good things about this team. Yeah, you know what? They were a lot better than their record indicated. They had injuries. They had this. They had that. And then, they make a little run in the playoffs, and everybody's on board. And the minute something bad happens, well, in this case, that would be a major the chokeology. Well, I mean, obviously, if you have a 3-0 lead, it's a bigger choke if you lose the series.
Look, I have two.
But the chokeology meter, I mean, is going to be pinning into the red if either of these teams loses these series.
Oh yeah, good. Yes, if these teams lose the series, which even I am not there, yes, it's massive choke. Panthers more, but massive choke. Look, being up 3-1, going on the road.
I mean, just break out the embalming fluid if that happens, right? Lubie, people are going to be gargling with it all across town.
Be psychotic,
or do we care enough? I mean, does the sun see if the weather affects anything? It's more on a long-term basis.
I mean, we're not going to react like Boston fans are going to. Like, if the Celtics do lose, the fact that there are two teams that people were putting as the favorite in their sport went down before the conference finals, they're going to jump out of buildings. No, we're not going to care like that. We didn't have these expectations for either of our teams, and we're not as sports psychotic as these other cities are. So, no, they're not going to. It'll be a thing, but it won't be like you're not going to hear it around town for months. And
no, at that point, I think most fans here would be of the frame of mind. Well, you know what? We weren't supposed to do anything.
That's the thing, and they'll get back
because we are resigned to the idea of failure. We just are. I mean, that's a South Florida sports fan. It's at your very base. I mean, your foundation has to be somewhat, grounded in that. That for the most part. Well, I mean, that's true anyway. I mean, in a lot of cities, but, especially so here where resignation is more, a sports fan's characteristic here than dedication. Met fans, same thing. They've had that forever, right? They're just resigned to the fact that the season's going to end in some form of, monumental failure, no? Which looks like they're headed for another one right now. Not that I'm laughing because, I grew up as like Mr. Met. So, I mean, it's unfortunate, but if you talk to any Met fan, they're resigned to the idea that, something bad is about to happen. Much like the Red Sox fans were during the entire, tenure of the curse of the Bambino until they finally were able to snap it. Cubs, what? Curse of the Billy Goat?
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Same
They
thing. I
assume,
mean,
they assume
you
we
just were
lost.
resigned to the idea that it was not going to go well. All right, that was a Heat game in a nutshell. It was kind of a lackluster effort by the Miami Heat by comparison to what we've been seeing. They had
Yes.
won 8 out of 10 in postseason play after losing to Atlanta. If you count the Chicago game, 8 out of 10 against some pretty good competition. Bulls had played a really good game to qualify for that final play-in game against the Miami Heat, and we're playing the Heat well that night. The Milwaukee Bucks, every game, you kept saying to yourself, well, geez, you know what? If the Bucks win this one,
Yeah.
and they didn't let it happen. That's why I do like to see. I mean, the closeout game is called that for a reason. And if you have a chance to finish somebody off, do it now. Don't mess around. Don't get cute because here, I mean, you would have to think that series almost completely lies, even though the Heat will have 2 swings at it, and they
Nah,
have played well at the Garden.
one game.
But
You have one game. You don't want to go to game 7. There's no reason to go to game 7. Like, you
no,
dominated them at home. And literally, Jimmy Butler was a non-factor in that game. Bam was good in the first half, but he didn't do much in the second half. And Caleb Martin and Robinson waking up and hitting threes is why you were in it, which is not what you want to count on. And you were in it at the end of that game. So there's no reason you shouldn't go home and win. And I wouldn't bet against that, to be brutally honest. It's just annoying. It's annoying to not seize your opportunity when it's sitting in front of you. I mean, look, the Celtics have done it the last 2 games. The Celtics literally lost a game in the last second in a weird fashion. Then they go home
and get hammered.
They were horrendous. So I mean, it's the NBA playoffs. The Knicks have earned their spot. I don't know if their fans
are they capable of coming here and winning a game? Of course, you'd have to take that into consideration. Sure, yeah.
It's why I didn't see them winning a title.
They don't seem to be in such great rhythm, though. They really don't.
Well, they just don't have a bench. Their bench sucks. Like, I Quickly was overrated, and I get it. He had a nice year. No one's worried about fucking Emmanuel Quickly. Like, the Heat's bench isn't good, and it's annihilating them. And even last night when the Heat were horrible, they still annihilated them on the bench. Like, and their 3 stars aren't that scary compared to like when Lowry, Bam, and Butler are playing. I'll take Lowry. The Heat's 3 guys. I'm sorry.
All right, so you're a big fan of the Heat in 6.
And that's what I would have said in the beginning of the series, but it's just annoying. Annoying because once you give a team confidence, Brunson goes for 38 and Randall wasn't, out of it. And Barrett's been consistent. You never know. You never know. And that's what's annoying about this Heat.
Is it just that Barrett went to Duke that for some reason I refuse to embrace his game?
Well, because he's been in the pros. He was a 3rd overall pick. The other 2 guys are.
That was one of those 3rd overall picks that goes right up there with who was that? Chris Washburn.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Where you're like, really? You're taking that guy, man? I mean, he's got like a crack pipe out as he's in the green room.
I mean, Barrett was.
You got to be kidding me.
Barrett, if you look at his scoring totals, he's averaged like around 20 points a game. I mean, that's nice.
No, Barrett has been okay. I mean, the Knick fans and the New York media, was a believer in R.J. Barrett. He had shown genuine signs of life last year, and so far it hasn't been abysmal. There's something I think it's the Krzyzewski thing with him. Anybody that played at Duke somehow is tainted, and when it comes to my desire to back them as pro players. Right? I mean, you want to see Grayson. I don't want to. No, you don't root for somebody to get hurt. That's for sure. But if anybody would deserve to be on the back end of a cheap shot, it would be Grayson Allen from the former Duke star, now with the Milwaukee Bucks. All right, and we didn't touch too much on the hockey game. That was not a terrible game. You can't really say, oh my God, the Panthers, wow, what a choke job. Had a chance to close them out. They had a lot of opportunities. That guy Wall. Who is a rookie goaltender, and I guess was he 4th in the hierarchy there with the Toronto Maple Leafs? The Maple Leafs, and he was great in this game last night. And I thought Bobrovsky made some really remarkable saves also. So I don't think you can sit there. I know you like to trash Bobrovsky, and anytime he gives up a goal, you think he's the worst guy ever. But he stopped some shots last night, no doubt about it. I mean, that could have been, a game that was busted wide open early by the Toronto Maple Leafs with some of the saves that he made. Same thing could be said at the other end. I mean, the Panthers could have had 5 goals in that game just as easily as they ended up with 1. And they have 4 swings at it. So that was 1. That's strike 1. for the Panthers. That they lose that game at home. All of the games could have gone either way. I think so far in the series, I don't know that any team has really been dominant. The dominant factor and theme has been the lack of productivity of the big goal scorers in this series for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they still have yet to get anything from their big star, Austin Matthews. I guess Tavares doesn't have a goal yet in the series, but they did get a couple of guys, Nylander and Marner, who finally broke through and had goals in this game. So they go up 2-0, and you thought, wow, the Panthers, for some reason, are getting nothing tonight. They come right back, as has been their habit now during the postseason, to answer right back, and they get the first goal of the night, which was their only goal, unfortunately. But could have gone either way. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Maple Leafs do enough last night to convince you they go home now, where, and we've been saying this all throughout. It's been amazing. The home ice advantage is absolutely negative in the postseason so far. With I think, and I'm going to say it's in the area of like 35 and 27 or something like that, where the road team has won the predominant number of games in the postseason in the NHL, which is weird, huh? How much money could you have made on that if you went money line road team every game, Lubie? What do you think? Did we miss something here?
I don't. I mean, because it's weird that the home advantage doesn't mean what it does in other sports, but it does mean something. Like
you would think.
See the Maple Leafs winning Game 5. Like as much little as home ice is meant, when they go home for that game after this game.
Oh, those Maple Leaf fans, they'll be. I mean, what is the body of water essentially there that divides the two countries?
Lake Ontario. I don't know.
Whatever it is, man, that'll be filled with
all the lakes
bodies face down.
Aren't Lake Erie, Lake Huron? Aren't all the lakes like the Great Lakes like right around there? Isn't that where all the Great Lakes are?
I don't know. You're talking to me about geography? What is
you
this?
brought it up? I don't fucking know.
No, I don't know. I have no idea. No, I'm embarrassed that I don't know. I should know, right? I was there, Syracuse, right? We used to schlep up to Buffalo every now and then, go see a Buffalo Braves game with Ernie No D Gregorio. I won't ask Jim Larinaga about him again because, that would be another one where, what? This is the fifth time, Defo. You asked me about Ernie D. He's going to stop doing those interviews if we keep coming up lame like that, no? I do have to get to this, though, and we're going to have the trivia challenge today. So you trivia challenge people, get in line. And, good. Well, we're going to bring in Dave Gurggles Gergely. But I did want to mention this also. We talked about it on our Defo on 5 there on 5 Reasons Sports Network earlier this morning. Just the image of Bob Huggins going to sensitivity training. Gurggles, how are you, my friend? I mean,
wonderful. What are you guys? Who are you guys again? I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, where you been hanging out? You froze up there a little bit,
been
also,
working.
which is never good.
Oh.
But I saw your buddy at the track there. We're out there every Friday with the Mike Mayo lunchbox. So I go inside. Is it Will? Is that the gentleman's name? The guy that you're always partnered up with, betting in
William. Yeah, William. Yeah, the horse breeder. Yep.
Yeah, good guy. Seems to have a pretty good handle on what's going on out there. And I mean, he almost gave me the thing in The Godfather. I won't be seeing him around here no more. They said you were super busy, Dave Gurggles Gergely. So, but
Yes,
we
thank
hosted one in
goodness.
your honor.
Yeah.
How are you? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm after today. I've got Alper JCC at 12 noon, and then tomorrow a Make-A-Wish tournament as well. So we're busy. And 1 month from yesterday, May? Oh, I went. By the way, Tuesday I went to see Ain't Too Proud to Beg, the Temptation story. Really good at the Adrian Arch Center. Yeah, really great show.
You went to a play, man? I mean, was there
people.
a shipper in town? Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. I love that. No, this is the Maldives mama that went with me to Maldives.
Oh, good.
And we got one of those boxes up in the 5th level box, and nobody else showed up. We had our own private box to the Temptations. It was terrific.
Kind of like Harry and Meghan Markle. Yeah, great, fantastic.
Life is good.
You dig that kind of cultural stuff once in a while, Gurggles. That's very nice
stuff that I like. Yeah, Temptations music was terrific. So that's my era.
Yeah, it reminds me of when Jersey Kyle and the lovely and talented one, Leslie Visser, and I nearly got thrown out of Jersey Boys because we were singing along with the songs. This was at the Parker Playhouse, though. It wasn't Adrian Arch.
Right, sure.
Adrian is a swinger. Is she still available? Is she still single? Because, like my mother always said, it's just as easy to fall in love with a rich girl. No? I had
Never had
designs
that
on dating
opportunity.
Adrian
Sorry.
Arsht at one point in time, and it was not lost on people because when we found out that the entire Dolphins defensive coaching staff was big, were big fans of the show, that was one of the things they were writing me about. Was my desire to date Adrian Arsht. Hey, Addie, let's go. Let's go have a few and watch the Heat play. Now, are you sensing? You used to be at the epicenter of this. I guess less so than in days gone by when you were kind of emceeing everything that was happening at the sports bar there in Miami Lakes, Shula's. But are you sensing any kind of steam? I mean, on this whole playoff run. Now, what are you saying? Are we out of touch at this point, Dave Gurggles Gergely?
Oh, I don't think we're out of touch. I think look at the way the Heat came back yesterday in a game everybody expected them to lose. They got within 2 points, I believe, right? And
Yeah.
On Nick territory, or as Joe Zagacki would say, hostile environment. Yeah, and now they come home Friday. I think they wrap it up Friday night.
That's the sentiment most people had even after they went up 3-1, and it was fairly convincing the way they handled the Knicks here in Miami. And were you following the hockey at all?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, every time we have someone check in to play golf here from Toronto, I say, I remember 1967 with Dave Keon, Norm Ullman, Paul Henderson. That's the
Yeah.
last time they won the Stanley Cup. And they're a really talented team. But again, we're down 2-0, come back and make it close again. I don't know if they wrap it up next game, but they come back home here. I think they'll wrap it up as well. So it's an exciting time here in South Florida. No doubt about it. All we need is a couple of winners at the track and we'll be fine. Any luck with you on the Derby?
Yes, I did have a piece of the trifecta there, lamenting the fact
Good.
that we didn't box the same horses in a 5-horse superfecta box, which would have netted us 15 dimes. But of course, we didn't do that. And had the 11 ball, which I was not a big fan of this horse, but Disarmed is the name, son of Gunrunner.
That was my horse.
Yeah.
That was my Derby horse. I had 20 across on him, and I had him with the second, third, and fourth horses.
Yes.
And then 2020 hindsight, when Maggi runs second to the big favorite in the Florida Derby, and he goes off 15, 16 to 1. Wow, what a gift!
Well, Polyman, nailed it, of course, as usual. He liked
Did he?
Verifying, which unfortunately ran last, but that we're going to give him as a throwout. But he did name off Mage and Angel of
Mhm.
Empire as his other two
Wow.
choices. So he had 2 out of 3 in the exacta. My buddy and I, Piscataway Ray, he likes to clobber an exacta box in the Derby as a side venture. Maybe it's
Okay.
funny too because it's a more conservative bet than say spending $120, which would have cost to have a 5-horse superfecta box. And we already had those 5 horses boxed in a try. So if we hit the try, that probably would have been good enough, especially if Angel of Empire hadn't been part of the picture. But if this horse Disarmed had run second, we had a $25 exacta box, Mage
Oh boy.
to Disarmed, which
Yep.
took a little bit of imagination, and but that would have been worth like 20 grand right there. So I love the race. I mean, you like the cash. You always could say shoulda, woulda, coulda had more money or whatever. Could have bet the horse to win. He may paid substantially, but for what it was, where you're kind of throwing a little bit of a net out there and hoping to catch the right configuration.
Right.
That Disarm getting third would have been enormous. Getting second would have been even more
Yeah.
enormous. And had we thought a little bit more outside the box on the supers, I'm inclined to believe in future years, however many I have left betting derbies, which obviously my number's blinking on the board here. We're approaching 72, but I'm inclined to believe that you should always play some kind of reasonably, spread superfecta box in the derby because that's
Yeah.
the money is so exponentially higher than it is even for a big fat try, which $1,000 on a dollar try isn't bad, but
No, of
I mean,
course.
think about it. I mean, sometimes these superfectas pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you might have had it. So I think you have to go for that. I don't know, Dergs. How did you make out? Any good at all?
I made out well before that. I had Castellano on his horse on the grass that paid $44, like Web Slinger. And he made my day a couple races prior to that. And then
That's always good
I
too when you're
congratulate
out
him on
before the
Derby.
derby. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, by all means. That and I hit I think the pick 3 with him. I hit the pick 3 with Madge, and he paid $32 to win. The pick 3 paid $40 for 50 cents. So go figure.
How is that
there.
possible?
Pick 3 with the Derby. Well, to be fair, were big favorites.
Oh, okay.
That's what hurt me on that. But Disarm's running back into Preakness, and he looks like a plotter by all means. But one of these days, that light bulb's going to go off with that horse and win. But we shall see.
My buddy Piscataway Ray, who I usually partner up with on these Triple Crown bets, and we've had great success. So I would have to say it's worked out well. He wants to put Disarmed over 4 other horses in like $5 superfectus. He thinks this horse is going to come back and win, but he wasn't really. I mean, Disarmed wasn't that big of a threat in that. I mean, he was well behind the top 3.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw him closing, and then
we will see.
Yeah, I told you what I did, Gurggles. No, I didn't. I haven't talked to you. I had a new system installed here for my TVs because we were getting clobbered all of a sudden, like Xfinity or whatever we had raised their rates, substantially, and everybody was screaming. And we realized, hey, we could get this same service for like a third of the money. So we did, and but I wasn't accustomed to the remote. And so as I went to, crank up the volume a little bit, as the horses were in deep stretch, I accidentally hit something that threw me out of having any picture whatsoever. So I was only hearing the call. And I heard Disarm coming on, and I was thinking, oh, my God, holy fuck. If this horse grabs second, I'm a rich man. But and then, it's like being in the old days I don't know if you ever went to any of these OTBs. Did they have them in Pennsylvania? Sure. Where they had no monitors?
No, but I went to some in New York. I went to some in New York. Yeah. I went to some in New York, and boy, wow.
You're like, wondering,
Kramer from Seinfeld. Yeah.
Yeah. You're wondering, though, why you're looking up at the speaker. I mean, like, is that going to help you see the race any more clearly? That's true. A little, one of those little round speakers coming from the ceiling there in the Jamaica OTB. It was disgusting, too. And that was another one of those religious epiphanies I had where I was in a room with a bunch of people that were betting their brains out. And, you look around the room and you say, wow, what scum? And then you realize I'm one of them.
You're
of
part
it.
It's
like the realization that James Caan had in The Gambler, the original. All right. We're ready for the trivia challenge. How do you feel about today's challenge questions? Good?
Fresh and ready to go.
Okay, we'll get into that in just a sec. Hialeah Park, great place to hang out. We'll have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge coming up with the great Dave Gurggles Gergely. You can dial us up if you want to play at 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. And Dave's going to have all these challenging questions. You know what? He could probably do a whole series of questions about the history of Hialeah Park. And they would be, as interesting and, historic as anything else. Because what a brilliant place, man. I mean, just unbelievable. The fusion of old and new with Hialeah Park and even looking into the future has been sensational. Everybody loves it. The integration of the beauty of the grounds and all of the things that were inherent to Hialeah Park that made it stand out as any kind of sporting cathedral, and especially for thoroughbred racing, are still there. And then they got the gleaming new casino. It's just absolutely fantastic. I don't know. Are you a poker player at all, Gurggles? I could see you being a very successful
I played a little bit,
player.
and I have to tell you too, with my Beat the Broadcaster that I've been doing lately, one of my new giveaways is a $20 free play at Hialeah Park and Casino. So when they pay $20 to the charity to beat my shot, they get the option to get $20 in free play. Thanks to Steve and Mike Golden out there, the marketing guy. So that's a popular giveaway now as well. So another great reason to go to Hialeah Park, and you got $20 on them when you go in there. So if you're playing in any of my golf tournaments or you see me anywhere, ask away, and I'll be happy to help you with something like that. Hialeah Park is a place to go for future and the history. Yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely fantastic, man. Every time you walk in there. All right, we'll have the Trivia Challenge coming up, Hialeah Park, and a great place for any kind of event. Log on to the website there, hialeahpark.com. You get all the information you need to contact their marketing people about, well, I guess, and they have people that are involved in all of the catering and all the different departments there that, real specialists, too. They know exactly how to take care of you. When they showed Louie around for his wedding, believe me, he was convinced. The problem was he couldn't convince the lovely Shirley that this was the thing to do. She had her mindset on doing Lubie in a barn somewhere. Right? I don't know what. Did you guys get it on there in that barn?
Do the anniversary party there.
We didn't have no one there.
What a great idea!
One day we'll have a party there. I'll get her. One day,
there
maybe.
You go. Beautiful.
She literally wanted Louis to take her for a roll in the hay, and that was the deciding factor. And Frank Fiore showed them onto the backstretch there. Said this used to be Woody Stevens' barn. Is that good enough? And it didn't necessarily appeal to Shirley as much as it did to Luby and the rest of us. All right, but Hialeah Park, it's a great place for banquets, any kind of consideration like that. You're having a company, a deal, or you're getting married, whatever. It's just a fantastic place for all sorts of catering and parties and events of that nature. All right, we're coming back with Dave Gurggles Gergely. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge gets underway in a moment. Now that. And I think we need a little deviation, a little, lightning from, Lubie was particularly upset with the Heat's performance last night. It's 7:41. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. Make the right choice for your home. Call Choice Mortgage today.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
The brilliance of the Polyman. Last Thursday, Gergs, in your absence, we did have an appearance here live on the show from
Oh, great.
our esteemed colleague of many years, co-creator of the game, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Well, he kind of came up with it, and then I took credit for it, of course. But no, the Polyman, Paul Massell, where he gave us his dissection of the Kentucky Derby. And who better to go to? Now, he, had trepidations about verifying after the two-hole draw, although I'm not sure how much of an inhibiting factor that was. He did get out there to the lead, set some very fast fractions by Derby standards, going 1.25 miles for the first time, and then faded into Mike Tyson territory, Bolivian, and ended up running dead last. My son thanked me for giving him a verifying, which I quickly then pinned it. That was a Polyman's pick. I didn't have an opinion.
Yeah.
But his other two horses, including Mage, I don't know that I would have looked at Mage if the Polyman hadn't brought it up. And certainly the handicappers on the broadcast completely ignored this horse until they got to like some woman that was like judging fashion with Johnny Weir. And it wasn't Tara Lipinski. It was some other woman that was on the broadcast. She finally mentioned Mage after like the first 15 guys, including Jerry Bailey, had picked like Tapit Trice, which... Did you ever? I mean, where was that horse? Did he even finish the race?
Know.
Where was
I don't know. I didn't even hear a call for him, to be honest with you. Well,
yeah,
you saw the race. Oh no, you didn't. Never mind.
Yeah, I couldn't find him. I mean, search warrants for this horse, and everybody was making a case. I mean, that's the funny thing about it. Like you'll watch 4 hours of analysis on NBC, and then they poll all of their experts, and they all come up with Tappa Trice. And you're thinking, who's writing the script here? Mike Battaglia? What is this? And sure enough, I never saw that horse finish. All right, time to get into a real horse race here,
Yes.
which is the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And you can dial us up, like I said, 954-417-0070. David, are you ready to get things started?
Yes.
We'll do it in the traditional fashion with Dave. And as the Polyman always would, start out the game with some
easy baseball. This Oakland A's manager on dealing with owner Charles Finley when one day Charlie said to him, "Hey, I noticed when you went out to the mound, you had grass stains on the seat of your pants. That's not a good example to set for your players." To which this manager said, "Hey, Charlie, those weren't grass stains. That was mistletoe." What's that? Hank Bauer, Hank Stram, Hank Goldberg, or Merton Hanks?
A nice tribute there to Hank Goldberg, who passed away about a year ago. Well, it was on his birthday.
Yeah, I remember. We were out in Vegas. Yep.
July 4th, a year ago. All right, it lands on the Chronic. Figures the Chronic would land in his spot after we, skipped over the trivia challenge last week because we couldn't do it in the style that the people are accustomed to, right? I mean, we were definitely coming out there with a B squad, trying to do the questions and the whole thing. Chronic, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys.
Hello, guys. Good morning, Lenny.
I think you got an A in there. Yeah, somewhere. All right, very good. You have 1 point, Lenny. Going for 2.
All right, Lenny. True or false? Miami Heat basketball. Former original member of the Miami Heat, Louisville grad Billy Thompson, is now assistant director of alumni relations at his alma mater. True or false?
It's tough. Seriously. I'm going to say false.
False.
That's false. Yeah, he's a pastor at the Jesus People's Church in Deerfield Beach. Yep.
He was very sincere about his pursuit of religious goals and and teachings. Very good guy too. Very nice guy. I told you, I ran into him in the Minneapolis airport. I'm going one way, he's going the other, and I'm thinking. All of a sudden, I hear a guy yelling, "Defo, Defo!" And I look. I mean, and all these guys are like 6'10", and he was with the Rapid City Drillers of the CBA at the time. And I didn't even know he was still playing basketball, but always a good guy. I was the host very briefly of the short-lived Billy Thompson show on Sunshine Network at one time. We shot it at his house, and he couldn't have been any cooler of a guy. All right, good one. You got Lenny fooled, of course, on that one.
Oh, he got it.
He got it. 2 for 2, Lenny.
He said false. He said false. Yeah.
Cool. Yes. Because
all right, 3-point question.
So I thought maybe he missed that one. But all right, 2 for 2, Lenny. 2 for 5.
All right, hockey, Lenny. Which team holds the record for the most power play goals in one Stanley Cup Series final?
Wow.
Is that the Detroit Red Wings, the Edmonton Oilers, the Montreal Canadiens, or the New York Islanders?
Oh, it's Edmonton.
Edmonton.
I would have said that too. No, it was
Islanders?
the Islanders scored 15 power play goals versus the Flyers in 1980.
Yeah, they had all those big-time scorers there on that team. So all of those were good possibilities. All right, Lenny going for 7 points. Set the pace here like you were verifying. Let's hope it doesn't turn out like it did for verifying here in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
NBA history, Lenny. Where did the NBA first game take place? First ever NBA game?
First ever
was that
NBA
in New York,
game.
Washington? Yep. Was that in New York, Washington, Toronto, or Chicago?
Huh.
Let's go with Toronto.
The least likely. Very good, Lenny. Nice job.
Yeah, the Knicks beat the Toronto Huskies in the opener. Yep.
How'd that happen? What were they doing up there in Canada?
Toronto had a team back then.
Wow. They did? Really? First year of the NBA? Very nice. All right, Chronic with 7 points, setting the pace here. You can dial us up if you want to play. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. Dave Gurggles Gergely, I know if you were a winner in this game, you would immediately think about sparking up a Perdomo cigar, would you not?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I don't think I'll have one today while I'm out there working, but Saturday we have our team championship here at Miami Lakes. And last year I showed up to work. One team's guy overslept and didn't show up. I ended up playing with the team and we won the championship. So I'll be
Nice.
back to defend, and you better believe I'll have a nice Perdomo cigar. As a matter of fact, I've saved the one from Nick Jr.'s first child, Lucia. So I've got a congratulations on the birth of Lucia cigar. I'll probably have that Saturday. You don't need to have a baby to have a Perdomo cigar. You can just celebrate anything, life in general. Go there at 5150 Northwest 167th Street. Call them at 305-627-6700. Open 9 to 5 on the Palmetto on the south side, a little east of the Home Depot after you make the bend if you're heading from south to north, or before it if you're heading north to south. But you can't beat a better cigar than Perdomo cigars. And actually, we're going to give you a Perdomo horse, which we haven't done in a while, this Saturday in the Man of War Stakes at Belmont. Frankie Dettori's here riding a horse called Warren Point. Take a look at him. He's in the 5th race. Warren Point or Warren Road. Frankie Dettori will be our Perdomo cigar of the day. Whether he wins or loses, put something great in your mouth with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
All right.
Even though the
I got a little
picture's there.
choppy on my end. I don't know if that was happening all around the
That's
board
okay.
here, but
It's
this
fine
is the
here.
business we have chosen. All right. We're coming back with more. Dave Gurggles Gergely, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, in a moment here. That's Mike Lubie Lubitz at the controls. Where was that? Was that master control or was that me there, Lubie? Or was
I
it
mean, you were
Gurgs
fine.
that was bouncing it
I
up?
left the picture up, but I heard it clear and loud and good. And I had no issues.
Okay,
I don't
yeah.
know what you heard, but
I was getting some kind of scatterbrained interference there. All right, we're coming back. We'll continue the game in just a moment. Now that.
The time.
Thank you, Johnny. It's 7:52.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
recently we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
The world, I mean, if my point was ever going to be embellished and going to be proven true, the world has gotten me sugar now.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here. Tomorrow, a full-fledged and should be a spectacular edition of our Degenerate Friday show with, I believe this is true, right? Both the Heat and Panthers will be back in action again together tomorrow night. Okay.
That's annoying. They're back locked in. It's really freaking annoying.
It was not easy to do last night. I didn't feel like going out. I had run around most of the day, and I was dealing with that hand issue. Which, of course, the one place I didn't go was to go see a doctor. I'm embarrassed about it because everybody's screaming the same thing: "Go to urgent care." And I'm not. I don't know. You're probably this way too, Gergs, right? Where the last thing I know, the polyman. He could have been, next in line at the doctor's office, and he said, I hope you can excuse me. I got to go outside and get something from my car. And then he would disappear, right? As he was about to have, quintuple bypass surgery. Or, what was it, 6? He had a 6-bagger, didn't he?
Yeah, it's 6.
No, quintuple, 5.
4,
Five?
5. Okay.
5-bagger,
Yeah.
man. That was unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, that's like hitting for the cycle and then also tacking on another home run later on. But yeah, and he would routinely do that. I mean, just as he was about to get treatment for something that was going to alleviate all of his problems, he would, run to the car and just take off. So I'm that type of guy, and it was unfortunate that I never follow up on this sort of stuff. But yeah, we were having some kind of glitchography there for a second, and hopefully, you guys are still holding steady and ready to play the game. 954-417-0070. It looks like we're ready to go here, Gurggles. And if you're ready to go,
I'm ready.
We'll go
I'm ready.
right into our next set of questions. Here we go. Dave Gurggles Gergely.
Okay. Hockey. This veteran announcer on an exceptionally chippy game with a lot of late hits said, wow, there have been more cheap shots in this game than a Mexican cantina during happy hour. What's that? Rick Janneret, Rick Riley, Pat Riley, or Lifer Riley?
It could have been any of the above there. All right. Here's a random phone scrambler to select our next player. Mike, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. And Defo, I have to tell you, having dinner at home with the wife the other night, and on the radio comes on, Michael rowed the boat ashore.
Oh, yeah. Remember
So
that?
Wow.
your history of it.
In honor of, I mean, we used to break
Polly.
into that with the Polyman,
Polyman,
and
that's
no
my
one was better at the Calypso part
Polyman.
than the Polyman Paul Massell. All right, you have 1 point, Mike, going for 2.
All right, Mike, baseball. A little known fact, as Paulie would say, Pete Rose lost out on a $15,000 bonus when his hitting streak was halted at 44 games. One more game would have gotten him that bonus from, of all places, Colt 45 malt liquor.
Wow.
True or false?
True.
True?
No.
No, you made that up?
No, we made that one up.
Very nice. You remember your first experience drinking Colt 45 malt liquor, if you ever had
Oh,
it?
my God. Woo. Wow, yeah, once. That was enough.
That stuff was wild, wasn't it? I mean, it was like 80% proof alcohol in beer or something. You were whacked. And it only came in like these giant janitor and a drum size cans. It was incredible.
Yeah.
All right. So Mike has what? 1, going for 4 here.
Right. Mike, NBA, who was the first NBA player in history to win a championship with 3 different franchises?
Very good.
John Sally, Robert Horry, LeBron James, or Bailey Howell?
Sally.
Bailey Howell. Yes.
John
Wow.
Sally is correct. Yes.
Oh, he said Sally.
Yeah.
I was thinking Bailey Howell. My God.
Anyhow, but we'll give him.
You just threw that in, for all of us.
No, Bailey Howell was when you couldn't make it. He was on the NBA cruise
Oh,
with
he
our
was?
great late friend Sam Jones, and they were teaching kids how to play defense. It was unbelievable to see these guys in their 60s at that time bending down. Here's how we play defense, kids. Bailey Howell was what a real nice man, truly nice.
One of the original garbage, where he was
Yeah,
always cleaning the garbage, and made a nice career out of that, and had a reasonably decent scoring average throughout his career. All right, very good. He's got 4 and going for 9 here to eclipse Lenny and take over the top spot.
All right, here we go. NFL. The Los Angeles Rams set a record in 1966 by attempting 49 field goals throughout the season. Which team in the 1940s set a record the other way by not even attempting 1 field goal during the season?
Wow.
What's that? The Browns, the Bears, the Eagles, or the Giants?
Browns.
Incorrect.
The Bears, Chicago Bears. They had a great running game, scored a lot of points, no field goals.
I was wondering if Tony Sperano was coaching that team that had the 49
He
field goal
wasn't.
attempts. How does
the
he not have
Rams,
the
yeah.
record for one season? I guess they didn't, get close enough to scoring often enough for him to go ahead and
Right.
because he would have been light years ahead. All right, Mike ends up with 4. So Lenny has 7. Mike has 4. You can dial us up if you'd like to play, 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. If you'd like to play this week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, we'll be with you until 9 o'clock today. Then later on today, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox comes your way. That veggie pizza I got yesterday from the Pizza Spot. Have you ever been to the Pizza Spot, Fort Lauderdale?
No, it sounds like a great place.
New Haven style pizza. Are you a fan of that particular style of
Don't
pizza
know
by
it.
any chance?
Don't know it.
Very thin crust, and then it's called charred on the outside.
Yeah.
The
I like
bottom
that.
crust is kind of thin, and then charred on the outside. Wood-fired oven. Guy does a great job, man. I swear to God, the entire Garden of Eden was on top of this pizza. It was incredible. This vegetable
Beautiful.
pizza that he makes, really, really good with a lot of good stuff. A great, great spot. We were there yesterday, and Mayo has now got a favorite. They have like a sort of a plain. It looks like it's just sauce on the pizza, but it does have some kind of cheese element involved, but you can't see it. What is that called, Louis? Do you remember?
There's a plain pizza. Like just a tomato pie is what I think they call it.
Tomato pie, yeah.
And they just put Parmesan.
Like you're thinking, hey, where's the cheese? Can you spare it there, Lou? No, but that's the way it's supposed to be.
I love mayo, but I have no interest in that pizza. There's literally nothing to it.
No, yeah.
And they do a good job. The sauce.
Is that just him being like kind of pretentious about food in general? Yeah. Well, I have my pizza without cheese.
No one wants pizza without cheese. I'm sorry.
What do you think, Gurggles? Pizza without cheese?
Even they put the fake.
I'm with mayo. I would try that one.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's the kind of thing you serve to a kid. It really is. The kid that doesn't eat cheese. I don't like that cheese, mommy. So they end up at Pepe's or something. But the Pizza Spot does it better than anybody. They're unbelievable.
It's a good job.
All right, we're going to continue here with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, 954-417-0070. Hot game working with Lenny with 7, and, of course, Mike with 4. Here's Dave, our next set of questions on the challenge.
Hoops. This LA sports writer, on the occasion of an earthquake in Los Angeles, once said, wow, the earth moved in LA more than in 1 hour than Benoit Benjamin did all last season with the Clippers. What's that? Peter Vesey, Peter Leonard, Lee Leonard, or Sheldon Leonard?
All viable choices. Here's a scrambler to select our next player. Oh, we're glad this guy is with us. There was, talking about check, please. The latest pictures on social media were of Andy in, some kind of hospital arrangement. Andy, how are you? How you doing, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Okay. I'm good. I'm ready to roll those bones. Your birthday, baby. Atlantic City. Ready.
Come on up. Yeah. I mean,
the last time
that, I literally, I remember after 2 days in Vegas, Gurggles, I was thinking, where the hell is Andy? I thought he was showing up. And then I finally looked at my messages on my phone, and he said, he had a vet scratch at the gate at the airport.
At the airport, they had to bring me out of there. But I'm good. I'm going to be good this time. I'm ready.
Okay, very good. You have 1 point.
Beautiful.
We're going to give you 1 point just for surviving. Andy. Yes.
Football, true or false? Believe it or not, John Bon Jovi's son, Jess, walked on and made the football team at Notre Dame. True or false?
I think that might be true.
It is true.
Nice. Good job, Andy, man.
We lost Jeff.
Yeah, just keep going, Gertz. Defo's internet's been
okay, not a problem. We might get better ratings now. All right, here we go. 3-point question, Andy. Which of the following is the NFL's biggest sponsor? Is it Budweiser, Doritos, Verizon, or State Farm?
Go State Farm.
Believe it or not, Verizon is the biggest sponsor for the NFL. All right. 5-point question, Andy.
7, right?
Yep. Who is the only player with 3 overtime goals in the Stanley Cup final series? 3 overtime goals. Jacques Lemaire, Wayne Gretzky, Dave Keon, or Maurice Richard?
Andy.
Matt Gretzky, but what were the first 2?
Okay, Jacques Lemaire, Wayne Gretzky, Davey Keon, or Maurice Richard?
I'll go with the Rocket. I'll go with Richard.
Maurice Richard.
That's correct. Maurice Richard is well done.
Am I back in the system here, Lou?
Yeah, you're
Yes, you are.
We
Yep.
weren't hearing you for a while.
We can hear you loud and clear.
It was like the
Okay.
Bruce Lee films where you were talking and no one was coming out.
It was a kung fu movie, you know, where later on the English translation comes in.
What is
How many guys? That was a polyman observation of great distinction.
So I think Andy and Lenny are tied at 7. Is that correct?
That could be, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the final thing around. All right, I appreciate it.
All right, yeah.
I think
Mike
that's
has
probably
been
a good
eliminated.
idea.
Yeah, the polyman was always wondering how come you would have 50 guys on one guy, like on
Yeah, in the kung fu movies.
one of these Bruce Lee movies, and they would only take them on one at a time, though.
Yeah.
Like, why don't all 50 just jump up and beat the shit out of the guy? I mean, that would be it. All right,
And by
down
the
something
way,
going to play. Yeah.
Lubie was correct. It was a sextuple bypass. He had the 6-way bypass because we call it the twin trifecta.
Yes.
And the only reason Paulie got operated on that day, because when he said he was going to go outside to get in his car and leave, somebody had already taken his car. So he had to stay. That's why he had the operation.
Yeah, when your car is repoed at the hospital, that is a weird thing. I told you when I came out of the track with a good friend of ours, and he had just gotten out of this big jackpot where he was going to be, probably thrown in jail for owning the track 15 dimes. And when we came out after celebrating, he was able to pay him off. He hit for like $15,000 the last 2 races in Aqueduct. Pays off all of his debts, comes outside, and his car had been repoed while he was in the truck.
Wow.
That happened to me with a cab when we were at the Visramama wedding, the lovely and talented one. And we went to Suffolk Downs, and, the train system, I wasn't going to get me there fast enough to make the first race, so I took a cab. And naturally, the cabbie says, I'll go in with you, I'm going to bet a few. And when he came out, his cab had been repoed. We were going to drive back to wherever it was we were staying in Boston, and the cab's gone, and they were used to it. That's where they knew they would find all of the guys that were deadbeats on their cab payments. All right, let's do one more before we go into the finals here. We do have Lenny and Andy, 2 of our all-time great players, and they're in a dead heat at 7 apiece. We'll see if we can break that tie. Here's our next set of questions with Dave Gurggles Gergely, the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge.
All right, skiing. We get a lot of requests for skiing question. This humorist on his not-so-favorite sport skiing said, skiing is the only sport where you can spend an arm and a leg to break an arm and a leg. What's that? Henry Beard, Butch Beard, Frank Beard, or Weird Beard?
All right, roll it, Lubie, the random phone scrambler. Here we go. All right, Ron. Ron, you're going to be our final player here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys. Let's go with A.
A is correct. Nice job, Ron. You have 1 point.
Hoops. Former Miami Heat basketball player Michael Beasley is playing in China with the Shanghai Sharks, and believe it or not, his team is under investigation for point shaving.
Wow.
True or false?
That's true.
I want to say false. It is true?
It is true.
Wow.
That's true, yeah.
Point shaving allegations. Is Beasley implicated? Your name was mentioned. Yes.
No, he was not.
No?
He was not. Other people were.
All right. No Clockwork Orange there for Michael Beasley. All right. 2 for 2, Ron, going for 5.
Okay, Miami Heat basketball. One of the biggest acquisitions in Miami Heat history was when the Heat got Shaquille O'Neal for 3 players from the Lakers. Which of the following was not part of that trade?
Okay.
Caron Butler, Lamar Odom, Eddie Jones, or I missed the other player. Well, which of these 3 was not part of it? Caron Butler, Lamar Odom, or Eddie Jones? Which of those was not?
Let's go with Lamar Odom.
I know he was definitely a part of it. Yeah.
Eddie Jones was not part of that.
Me and Eddie Jones. Is that it? That was it?
That's a 3-point question.
That was the 3-point question.
That was the 3-point question?
Yeah, Ron has a shot at 7 and a 3-way dead heat.
Okay, Ron. Sports history.
We're both losing it, right? We're down to 3 choices. We have no idea where we're at in the game. What's going on here?
May 5th, 1973 was the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's Derby. I happened to be there that day. 5 years to the day later in 1978 which of the following sports milestones occurred?
Okay.
A, the Montreal Canadiens won their record-setting 14th Stanley Cup. B, Pete Rose got his 3,000th hit. C, Gato del Sol gave Eddie De La Hussey back-to-back derbies. Or D, Rod Laver won his last ever championship. Which of those occurred 5 years after Secretariat's Derby?
Why don't you make it easy, Gurgs?
Pete Rose.
Pete. Yes.
That's it.
Wow, nice job, man. These players are tough, man. I mean, they may be the same guys every week. Maybe they've had the same sets of questions, pop up here and there. I don't think so today. Those all sounded pretty new and fresh. All right, so we have a three-way dead heat. We're going to have a spin-off here. And while, before Lubie does that, let's get another word about Nick Perdomo and Perdomo Cigars, Dave.
Yeah, go see Nick and the gang. He's now a grandfather for the second time. He's in there celebrating, and you can celebrate with the best cigar you'll ever find at Perdomo Cigars, 5150 Northwest 167th Street, on the Palmetto on the south side, a little east of Home Depot, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. You want one on the weekend? No problem. www.perdomocigars.com. We'll find a retailer near you that sells these great cigars. Saturday, 5th race at Belmont, the Man of War, Frankie Dettori, ships in to ride Warren's Road, I believe it is. That might be our Perdomo cigar, but you don't need a Perdomo cigar horse to smoke a great Perdomo cigar. Just go see Nick or call him at 305-627-6700 or visit him online, www.perdomocigars.com.
All right, we're going to come back and contest the finals in just a moment here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, the Defo Show with Mike Lubie. Lubitz at the controls. Dave Gurggles Gergely. The championship round is up next here, and we'll be with you until 9 o'clock. We'll have a Believe podcast later on today, and Mike Mayo's Lunchbox coming your way here on South Florida Live at 12 o'clock. That also airs on Facebook with the Let's Eat South Florida group, 104,000 strong. Gurggles, 104,000 strong. It's unbelievable, yeah. Miami Lakes was always a pretty good restaurant spot. What were some of the hot spots there besides Shula's and all the
they've got a Corner 57, brand new, which is, they got one of my favorites. It's a little Spanish-themed place called 100 Montevidos. And it's just these little sandwiches, cheesesteak, pulled pork, and they range between $1.50 and $2.50, like bite-size. And you can get a wide selection. Really, really nice little spot. And, of course, Miami Lakes Steak and Sports, which is formerly Shula's Steak too, a great place, especially Friday night. You want to watch both games? You go there, you got them both. So great things to do in Miami Lakes as well. Sometimes I never leave unless I have to go to Mutual, like Hialeah.
City unto itself. It really is. If they had, simulcasting at Shula's Hotel, you would never have to leave the area. That's
and I'd be broke. So,
all right, you want to come back for the finals, Lubie? You want to do them now?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's do them now. Yeah, go get.
If you're ready, let's do them.
Okay, we do have the Scrambler came up on Ron and the Chronic, Lenny the Chronic, so they'll contest the championship here. Dave's got a question. He's going to fire it off. Call out your name if you want to answer right away. If nobody does, we'll offer multiple choice, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 choices. We used to have Al Winters. We'd give like 6. That was great. And when he got into F, then the Polyman looked up at me and goes, I think he's gone a little too far. Anyway, we'll offer multiple choice. First person to call out his name gets first choice. We go back and forth till we have a winner for the championship game, or one game of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Here's Dave Gurggles Gergely.
Here we go, guys. Good luck. NFL football. Derek Thomas, the late great, was the first player to record 7 sacks in one game. Who was the victim of his 7 sacks?
Lenny.
Lenny.
Go ahead.
Okay, who was it?
Seattle. David Craig, Seattle.
Jeez. Oh, my God. That was almost impossible. Come right up with that. All right, Chronic, brilliant as always. And the Chronic, no doubt, will be out there at Landlubbers tonight. So you can just give him another gift certificate, Louis. Or does he have an account there now?
I think he just has.
And Supreme just automatically puts like the
just has a tag.
Designated.
I told you that I saw the name change. It's going to be Lenny Lubbers. I don't know if it's true or not, but it could be.
Try the burger. It's the best in the city. There's no doubt about it. All right, Lenny, congratulations.
Very
Gurggles, you have a good one. Where are you off to? How many charitable events are you doing?
Nowhere. I'm here working. I got a tournament at noon. I got to get out there for registration shortly. And good Lord willing, my schedule's clear for next week as well. So, gentlemen,
sounds
we'll
good.
see you.
Thank you. It was great seeing you. Dave Gurggles Gergely, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to come back with more and continue in just a moment here on the Defo Show. We had these 2 games last night. Lubie particularly bitter about the Heat game. I didn't think you would be that bitter about it. I love it that it's brought back the psychotic fan in you.
I'm just frustrated.
The Robert De Niro in the fan type of psychosis that you used to normally display. I mean, you were out of your mind earlier this morning, but with disappointment and bitterness about the Miami Heat loss to the New York Knicks last night. Many people.
Yeah,
What's that?
It felt like an effort thing. Teams lose. The Knicks played better. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Knicks. It just felt like from top to bottom, the Heat were sort of lethargic, which
yes, I would agree with that.
I'm not look. The Knicks were that too. I'm not saying the Knicks weren't that. The Knicks for sure were that in the 2 games here in Miami.
They were down 10 points after the first quarter with 14 total for the quarter.
He played really hard in that first quarter.
Yeah.
And after that, look, maybe it's the Knicks turned it on. He couldn't keep up with it. I don't know. I'm not trying to be. I'm just telling you what I saw as a guy who's followed this team my whole life, and I've talked to you about this. You make fun of me for it, but I've done this a lot. I can get a feel for this team, especially Jimmy Butler. And Grimes is a wonderful defender. I'm sorry. He had Giannis, Drew Holiday throwing double teams at him, 2 of the top 6 perimeter defenders in the league, and he was dunking on them. Like Jimmy Butler, for whatever reason, and I'm not making an excuse, I don't understand it, will do this. And the whole team takes this like it. I don't know. They seemed very lethargic, and the Knicks capitalized on it, and good for them. And they got a big win. It just, that frustrating. You lose games. It happens. Like, I didn't think the Knicks were just going to give this one away. I thought we'd see different Knicks, but it felt an effort thing, and I hate that. I hate when it feels like a team's just not putting it all out there in a playoff situation, especially a closeout. Like
nothing drives you crazier than that.
It frustrates the shit out of me. And I know Knicks fans were the same way. Knicks fans felt Randall was doing that and Quickly was doing that, and I get it, and I understand where they're coming from, because it's the thing. Losing is one thing. It's sports. You're not going to win. You're not going to bat 1,000. It's when you like Jimmy Butler hands the ball off and then goes stands in the corner. It's like, dude, come on. And if you're hurt, you're hurt. Fine, but he doesn't look hurt. He looks like he just is pacified, and I'm like, okay, whatever. It's just
I'll tell you what annoys me about a series when the media latches on to some stupid thing that is said, and then they won't let it go. I mean, no matter what. And now in this case, I guess Julius Randle said something to the effect after a game, after one of those games in Miami.
He said that after Game 4, they just wanted it more, and he left it at that.
Which is like one of the dumbest cliches in all of sports. Who wants it more? I'm assuming that, with the competitive nature of these athletes, it's very hard to find situations where, they wanted it more. I mean, does that mean they put out more effort? I mean, what is it actually referencing? In this case, you would be right that, the Miami Heat didn't seem to be as collectively all in as they have been in previous games. And if you were going to let one go, this was the one, right? You go in Game 5, New York, it's still 3-2. Coming back home, you have the Friday night game. The Knicks look like absolute dog meat here in Miami in the 2 games they played. Some people were, going as far, I mean, and out there in the fantasy land is blaming the weather.
Yes.
On the Knicks defeats here.
Which
I started to say earlier, I mean, it's the long-term impact of being exposed to this much sun that takes its toll on you.
Yeah.
It isn't, like an immediate thing. In the immediacy of moving here to Florida or being here for any length of time, it's glorious, the sunshine. You can't get enough of it, right? 90 degrees.
It's great. You're never. Yeah. It's rare that you go from the cold to the hot, and you're like, oh my God, this hot.
I'm gonna pass out. I don't know what to do here. Water, somebody.
There's a reason a lot of New Yorkers, when I was at FSU, there'd be a lot of people from Jersey, New York, and I was like, why are you here? They're like, what do you mean? Why wouldn't I be here?
You're sitting in some Ritz-Carlton suite, I mean, that you've got in your contract stipulated that, right down to the little chocolates on the pillow. And you probably got that thing at like 68 degrees, no, Lubie? If you're an NBA player, chilling, literally. Almost as if it was cryogenics, right? Where they were going to freeze Ted Williams' head in the room. I don't know that the Heat was really getting to these people. That's something. So now they've seized this cliche, and the first question in the post-game interviews were something to the effect of, "So who do you think wants it more now?" And it's like, oh my God, I hate it when they make this into some kind of back and forth narrative type of issue.
I mean, you can see wanting it and this and that, but yeah, again, I hate saying that, so that's why I'm not saying the Knicks wanted it more.
It's like a stupid, shallow piece of analysis, is it not, Lubie?
What
do you think?
It's
Yeah.
dumb. I just think you can see when a team's facing elimination, we've talked about that. Like, it's annoying that pro players have to be motivated. You would think they should just be naturally motivated. But you can see when a team's facing elimination versus a team that's not. Look at the Lakers Warriors. Like, the Warriors haven't played like that the whole friggin' series.
Right.
But when your season,
they crushed them from the outset. I mean, it was like 17-5 right at the beginning of the game.
and you can see, like, the Knicks played like a team that could see the end of the season, and the Heat did not. Whatever the
I didn't expect Anthony Davis to, be, the lingering health factor again in the series, because of an atomic skull crusher. Did you? Rolling an ankle, maybe a knee. Did you see him going out? Because he literally got hit by Killer Kowalski in this thing, and wheelchair bound. Either leaving the arena. Did they wheel him off the court? I didn't see this part of the game.
I missed it. I woke up to them talking about his head injury. Did he get a concussion? He's out for the game. What's the future hold?
He looked like one of those guys in the Revolutionary War pictures that you used to see, where they got the bandage all over their head, like the English Patient kind of.
Yes.
No, I don't know. I mean, you know me. I've been professing all season long to watch out for the Lakers. Don't sleep on the Lakers.
Yes.
So I would naturally like to see them knock off Golden State and prosper here, because it would make my prediction look better. And what's worse than looking really stupid on a show? Being right once in a while. Because the people are so used to putting a line through all of your advice and selections that they naturally went against you on this one. Golden State. Now there's another situation exactly like the Miami Heat, where the Lakers have been good at home throughout the playoffs so far in their series against Memphis and now Golden State. Golden State horrendous on the road all season long, except for a brief period there where they were shining against the Sacramento Kings, who you would have to think came in there and, here's another cliche about experience in the postseason, but I do think that counts for something. Whereas, the who wants it more thing, I'm not sure exactly, vague roundabout way of saying that the one team was trying harder.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can say, I think the trying harder is it wasn't okay. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, if you were looking at the
team the effort was there more for one team than the other. By the fourth quarter, it became a game for both sides, and both teams were in it. And the Knicks outlasted the Heat, and the Knicks did what they had to do. And Brunson was phenomenal, and RJ Barrett was pretty consistent by RJ Barrett's standard. And Julius Randle, who was sort of iffy in the first half, woke up and played really strong in the second half. And the Heat couldn't match that. The Heat didn't match that last night, and we'll see what happens in Game 6.
I haven't become as adept as I have been in the past. I mean, I haven't been as adept at catching all of the action at the right time in the two games, flipping back and forth. I think I'm going to have to go, out to a sports bar on Friday night or something. I guess I will be at one, according to the social calendar. But, I have to be somewhere where there are two TVs at this point. No, Lubie? I mean, it was impossible to keep pace with both. I turned away from the Heat. Knicks are playing horribly in the first quarter. Turned away during the second quarter, watched the hockey game, come back, and the Knicks are in the lead. It's like, what? They look like absolute garbage. So, it's tough to assess everything about both games. And yet the deflation factor was strong. Lakers in a position now, too, as we were talking about, where they have to win this Game 6, do they not? Because you're not picturing them winning at Golden State in Game 7. So there would be my my whole thing. It's all predicated on this Game 6 in both series in the NBA. And while it's hard to envision Toronto coming all the way back, it's not impossible to conceive of, is it, Lubie? Do I want to hedge on this at all? That the Panthers were just in a commanding position there, which they still are at 3-1. So we'll see what happens there. But are you not anticipating maybe Toronto winning Game 5 now? And, making it a 3-2 thing coming back to Florida. Is that going to happen in both of these series that we're watching locally?
I think Toronto, I find it hard to believe that the Maple Leafs will end that series at home with how insane their fans are. I mean, the Panthers played well there, and they found a way to win too. So I wouldn't put it past them. And they played better actually on the road in these playoffs than at home. So I wouldn't put it past them, but I would lean the Maple Leafs win that game, and then the Panthers close it out in 6.
All right. Well, We're
see.
down to this. We're like kind of wishing and hoping. We're at Dusty Springfield now. Whereas last night, going into last night, we were attacking this thing with a veritable certainty that we were going to come out of this thing with two teams into the championship or conference championship round. All right, we're coming back with more here on the Defo Show. We'll take you up until 9 o'clock today. Tomorrow we'll have a Degenerate Friday. I would imagine, what, the Greek will be predicting basketball and pucks. And we will also feature the professor. I think he's back in town, right?
Yes, he's back.
Professor and a big board. A lot of people.
Today he'll be back with a fresh new big board.
That's funny that, and Mayo, obviously being involved with words his entire life, as I have been, repulsive is one of those words that's very strong, isn't it? When somebody describes a person as being repulsive.
Usually warranted. Like, people don't use the word repulsive because they don't think to use it unless someone's like really fucking disgusting. And they want to make sure you understand how disgusting they think you are.
Right. Like if you're using it in a sentence, you would say Donald Trump was repulsive last night. In putting forth the same nonsense again and again and again on CNN. What happened to CNN, man? They allowed that to happen right there on their airwaves.
Yeah, it's about ratings. They know the far right people. Like, I didn't watch it. I didn't pay attention to it. Most people I know wouldn't watch or pay attention to it.
Yeah, I just saw some lowlights of the conversation there.
Him getting the fact that people keep giving, like, the dude is not going to be the nomination. Like, you can't be involved in 12 investigations and be there. I don't give a shit how much the far right tells themselves it's a witch hunt when you're involved in like 5 investigations at once. You're not going to be the nomination. They can tell themselves he is now. We have a fucking year before it really gets off.
I mean, you have to hand it to him for chutzpah. That's for sure, to continue to maintain that he won the election. People really, I mean, you have to be kidding me, man. People are actually buying that as like a thing that to rally behind. Oh, yeah, he's right. He's going to pardon all these people that have been convicted. It's like some ridiculous number of people that were convicted in the January 6th thing. This was his idea. He's the only guy that hasn't been convicted of it, and that may well come to pass. So he'll be pardoning himself. Can you do that if you're president?
I have no idea, but I know
this guy wins. It's time, Lubie. I would have to say, I mean, a lot of Hollywood people, have maintained, well, you know what, if, they did last time, like if Trump wins, they're going to move out of the country, right? That's something like Sean Penn would come up with, or somebody like that, some radical. But, maybe time to go. I mean, at that point, you would have to have lost complete faith in America. I mean, if a Republican won and it was other than Trump, okay. You could say, all right, people wanted some kind of a change there. They weren't in on old senile Joe B. But, I mean, if this happens again, in light of everything, it would be enough to convince you that maybe it's time to consider someplace on Lake Como in Italy, no? Can we afford that, Lubie?
Problem is, Joe Biden won't be on Fox anytime soon. My problem is not what Trump would do or won't do. I don't see him even getting the nomination, whatever.
How is it even possible? I mean, literally, how is it possible?
Be in jail. I mean, like New York and Georgia aren't going away, and those are the two ones that are actually criminal offenses that they have legitimate evidence on. He's going to be in jail. You can't be a nominee.
The guy's standing there. I mean, it couldn't be any more obvious that he had control over this crowd too. Because the minute that he said, "Hey, let's split everybody," they left. I mean, they're all wandering around the Capitol building. I mean, trying to find Mike Pence so they can hang him. And Trump's like, yeah, let's go. And the minute he put out on Twitter, I mean, they were all watching their phones for commands from the commander-in-chief here. I mean, he literally is like running the show there. What are you talking about?
I mean, the whole thing's insane. Well, again, what scares me is not even Trump anymore. Like the stuff DeSantis is actively doing down here is literal.
Oh, he's frightening too. Yeah.
Look, and I get it. The actual, as bad as the real estate market got around the country, South Florida especially, got insane because of international money coming in and paying in cash.
Sure.
And it ruined our market, and we're still trying to settle from it. However, in a free market capitalistic society, you can't say your money's not allowed. Like,
hey, listen, you Chinese people, we don't want your cash here.
Can't do that. That's not America. That's fucking weird.
I mean, this guy, is off the wall.
On top of that, you can't. The other thing where what he did with the Texas people wasn't a one-off.
That was despicable. Yeah,
but he now wants to do it. Now he just wants to do it freely. Just send immigrants to other places. That is 100% what the Germans did. That's not like me yelling Nazi. Like that is. 100%.
He's frightening, no doubt about it.
That's
I
scary.
don't think he can win over the entire country. Maybe the crackers here in Florida were fooled by this guy. And Charlie Crist obviously wasn't a very strong opponent in the gubernatorial race, which, he gets an overwhelming majority, becomes a political superstar. You're already seeing DeSantis ads running for president,
Well, he's not
even though
running
he
for
hasn't declared yet. Yeah.
He's not even a thing. I'm not talking about DeSantis as president. I've realized, that's not happening. Like the whole Republican Party is repulsed. You're talking about repulsed by him. My fear is he's still here, though. Like I thought it didn't matter. The governor can only do so much because our governors have never done anything.
Yeah.
I forgot he's in the.
Trump. Oh no, his eve of destruction mentality is in full force right now.
He's in the Trump mold where as long as
too depressing, Lubie. I mean, I would rather talk about these two losses, honestly. Yeah,
you took us here.
Yeah. I brought it up because I was trying to use repulsive in a sentence, and you would have to say that watching Donald Trump on CNN last night was repulsive.
And Kenny's not, and that's where it came from. Was Joanne? She used repulsive, and she used
Joanne was, I mean, we love Joanne, but she didn't seem to really get the shtick, yet.
Oh no!
I mean, so she was a newcomer to the programming, and really was more interested in. I don't know if she watches this show at all, but she does watch the Mike Mayo Lunchbox show with great interest. And you know what? I'm always appreciative of any level of fandom, no matter what. I mean, the people could say, "Hey, listen, you should have given it up years ago, DeForest." I mean, okay, great. I mean, you're probably right. But we appreciate it. We appreciate any input that we get on the chat lines and things like that. It's great. So, I'm a fan of Joanne, but repulsive was a little strong for the professor, no?
Well, the
not applicable. I mean, I can understand people being, maybe put off by some of the things that he says. I mean, especially when he goes into that Nazi material and Brazil and bunching and starts talking about Affleck and the Patriots. That can be borderline,
it's in poor taste at times.
Poor taste.
He'd admit it. That's why he gives me warnings.
Yes.
The thing in my problem was she did it when he was on Mayo, and he was not only on his best behavior. He's a grown adult. He can do whatever he wants.
Yes.
Ken is a food connoisseur, so he doesn't have to.
No, he knows his food.
Material. Like when he's now been on twice with Mayo, he was great. Like most of the people loved him.
Yeah.
He goes toe to toe with Mayo, and it's a really interesting conversation. And it's like when we had Visser Mama and Jimmy Johnson, where you and I just sat there and let them go.
Yeah.
I just sat there, like I was able to just watch them and listen and learn and be entertained. And she came out of left field with like, "Oh, I'm just disturbed by." I'm like, he hasn't said anything, Joanne. Like, what are you talking about? He hadn't said he hadn't done any material. He was just talking food, and he was great. Like people were chiming in. This guy is great. Who's this guy? I love this guy. And I was like really loving it. And she out of nowhere was like, I'm like, and then she did it again when he was with us, not doing anything. And I'm like, Joanne, you have a tendency to use graphic language for things that I don't know.
Repulsive, is strong. I mean, if somebody describes you as being repulsive, like you find out through the grapevine that the girl that you just took out on a blind date found you repulsive.
Like you're allowed to do. I said, I'm like, you're allowed.
It's an eye opener. I mean, to hear that kind of terminology.
It's just weird. Like he didn't do anything repulsive. I know what repulsive is. I'm like,
no, yeah, you've been repulsive. I mean, at times in your life, as have I.
When I'm playing with my food like a 3-year-old.
Oh, that was repulsive. As is like Mayo's approach to eating on the show.
When Mayo has shit dripping and he's trying to speak and there's food in his mouth.
He's deliberately doing that, though. I mean, no, maybe that's just him. I'm not sure. Are we reading too much into it? I mean, there's maybe some kind of comedic element to it. No, that he's playing into.
No, he's leaning into it, obviously. And people liked it. I mean, but it is repulsive. That doesn't change the fact that it is repulsive.
Yeah, when a guy's got like Russian dressing on his cheek and piece of a pickle over here. All right, enough of that. We tried to use repulsive in a sentence. We ended up condemning the Republican Party and probably alienating half of our audience in the process. But how anybody could buy him to look? I mean, a con man is one thing, but once you've been outed,
yes,
and it's just amazing to me. I mean, virtually every guy that was with this guy in the beginning, got sentenced to something. This is the greatest witch hunt ever. I mean, I've never seen a poor person, this poor man, more persecuted than Donald J. Trump, right? Who just keeps asking for more. There was Giuliani on this thing last night with the hair coloring streaking down his cheek, going, "Hey, you know what? These machines are rigged." They just had, another entity. It's never Trump. That's the beauty of it. I mean, this Rupert Murdoch had to cough over $750 million
You don't
because
do
of
a
this bullshit. I mean, how much more proof do you need that there's something up here?
When it's always the right, it's always guys. Look, that's what's funny. It's usually judges or people they put in place. Like Georgia is heavily Republican, but the shit they're doing is so blatant that they're like, oh shoot.
I mean, you can't be on a telephone telling somebody to go rig an election for you, and then start screaming that the election was rigged. It's the same thing with this, stuff on Fox News. What was Trump's big thing? Fake news all of this time. It's fake news, fake news, fake news.
Fake news?
Who was the biggest proponent of fake news? But the network that was in love with the guy.
Yes.
I mean, they admitted they were making it up. So
it's the lady doth protest too much. The people that are screaming the most, like it's usually the right wingers that are like, "Oh, gays worst." 2 weeks later, they're in a bathroom putting their shoe under a fucking thing, and they have had homosexual détentes for the last 20 years. I mean, like that's obviously what happens most of the time with Republicans. They scream about the stuff Democrats could never fathom because they've been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah. It's amazing to me. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to make some of these deductions. That's the thing. I mean, just the most basic of common logic would have you thinking, okay, there's at least something up here.
Look, I'm a Democrat.
Something is wrong when everything leads to catastrophe at all times. And into some clown-like mode, which is where that's been going.
Put it this way, you're not going to hear me defending Anthony Weiner. Okay? Or Andrew Gillum. And I have a picture. I was Mr. Gillum. The guy got popped and he's a little creepy. So he was into drugs, which I'm actually not against, but you really don't want your governor being a drug.
No, you don't want him laced on, methamphetamine. That's for sure.
And I said, whoop, my bad.
Yes, you made a mistake there. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
It's okay.
Any right-wing Republican would have been better and more qualified than this guy, which is what we got. Okay. That's a hard statement to make in the aftermath. All right, let's get out of this because it's too depressing. We're coming back with more. We had the Cats lose last night. Are they in any jeopardy against the Toronto Maple Leafs? Not quite yet, Lubie. Not quite yet. And the Heat, everybody is expecting them will win this game in Miami on Friday night. And we thought we might be celebrating at least one of these teams clinching and going to the conference finals in their respective leagues. Last night, neither was able to come through in very close and hotly contested games.
Look, in the end, that's what the fact that the Heat at least, and Gurgs, the sane one of the bunch, said it. Look, in the middle of the beginning of the fourth, when the Knicks went on to like another run, and it was back to like double digits, I'm like, just make it a game, please. Just make it a game. And they did.
Yeah.
They did. And it's like, okay, fine. Like you took the Knicks and that. I don't know if it's their best shot. I'm not saying they can't do it again, but up to this series, it was their best shot. And unlike the Heat, when the Heat gave you a good shot where they coasted, the Knicks gave you their best shot to this point, and you were able to sustain it and contend. At least they did that. And the Panthers did that the whole game. I can't look. Bobrovsky.
That game could have gone either way for sure.
But he's played out of his freaking mind.
Yeah,
like, peppered the whole goddamn game. And
great shot attempt.
Like a champion. Like,
yes.
I can't hate on that guy. Like what the Panthers did, I'm not disappointed. If you notice, I haven't railed against them, and I've railed against them in these playoffs.
No, you can't. I mean, look, you just have to take that loss.
And
say, that they would win 4 straight was improbable. Their 6-game winning streak in the postseason was snapped last night, but it wasn't like it was busted in half. I mean, they easily could have won that game, just as easily as they lost it. And, same could be said about Toronto and some of the other games in the series. By all rights, Toronto should feel like, hey, we're right there with these guys. I would, this is how these playoffs go. If you have any experience watching them, you're more than likely to see the home team win that game 5. And, you had it. You had it, a situation last night where, you want to stave that off if you can, but there was no guarantee that was going to happen. I don't think anybody should be overwhelmingly disappointed because it still looks to me like the two, South Florida teams will win. And yet,
no, I don't know.
Wow. I mean, would we be the first to turn on them After no, we wouldn't be the
I don't know
first.
what I'll do because it sucks because I came into this playoffs and that's why I was enjoying the first round so much because I had no expectations. And this round is totally, I started to have expectations because you look at the bigger picture. Yeah, Carolina's scary, but it's not like the Panthers can't beat them. And the same thing with the Heat, like the Sixers and Celtics, on paper, better teams. But okay, when Jimmy Butler's engaged fully, he's as good as any player in the playoffs. So it gave me rise for hope. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not being fair weather as I guess I may am as a fan. I don't know. But it's hard to like be defeated because I don't see either winning the title. I just don't. They can. I don't see it. So to me,
it's not out of the question, though. I mean, it really isn't.
I'm not trying to hedge my bets. I eventually, if the Heat play a Nuggets, they're not beating the Nuggets. Like I do not see the Heat beating the Nuggets. I just don't. I don't see them beating the Nuggets. I don't. So to me, okay, like if they lose, it'll hurt and it'll be annoying because you're up 3-1. But I
still want to see them go, to the next round, though. I mean, that would be. It would be painful if they lost this series to the New York Knicks at this point. And I think you've been in battle to it with these Knicks fans.
Yes.
All throughout. I mean, we're to the point you guys are slinging like, all kinds of crazy stuff at each other on the chat line here. And I'm thinking, who is Lubie arguing with? I don't really see the other comments. Am I missing those? And, and you're hostile.
We ranting.
I mean, just
people do when they term fan things, that it weirds me out. It's a South Florida thing we've dealt with forever, and
it's a theory you are particularly repulsed by, my friend. If we can get back to the word of the day, the secret word of the day, repulsive.
It's just weird because I've seen all fans do all those things. My Nick fan buddies were texting me, "Congrats on the series." And I was like, it's not over, guys. But
these guys they're getting under your skin. They're getting on your nerves to the point where you were firing back with venom.
It bothers me.
And acrimony, just egregious claims you're making.
That's the one.
Or you're contending that these people are making about their teams. I don't know. I think the chalk will prevail here in terms of. The natural circumstance that usually takes place in these playoffs. Toronto wins maybe a game 5, brings it back here for game 6. Panthers win. Everybody's breathing a deep sigh of relief. And I think the Heat will take care of the New York Knicks. We've seen no evidence to the opposite, that the Knicks can come here and win a game. It's just like Phoenix and Denver. I don't see the Phoenix Suns winning a game in Denver. They got shellacked even after winning 2 games in Phoenix. Now they have a chance to send it back there for game 7. But I think they probably do. But, the rarefied air there is going to do them in again. And they lose to a deeper Denver team, which, that was one of the byproducts, unfortunately, of their acquisition of Durant is, you sold your soul to the devil. And they just don't have enough firepower. And DeAndre Ayton is a little bit of a mystery man himself, is he not?
Yeah, and in the playoffs, he becomes a no-show because it becomes a perimeter game. That's what's interesting about Jokic is he's such an old school big man, but he has enough new school between being able to shoot a 3 that they can't just take him out of a series.
No.
He's a big.
He seems to be moving in slow motion too, doesn't he? And yet he makes this stuff happen. I guess Doncic is somewhat similar. Luka Doncic, but this is a big version of Doncic, is it not? Jokic?
The difference is Jokic is an all-around player and Doncic is not. He's a great offensive player. He does everything on offense, but defense, he's an utter sieve.
Yeah.
Where Jokic is a good defensive player. He may not be an elite, but he's good. He's passable. He doesn't hurt you.
No, they have they have a lot of interesting weapons on that team, including Jamal Murray, who a lot of people think that's going to dictate which way they go. I think Denver beats Phoenix, and I think Denver beats the survivor of the Lakers Golden State series also. I just think they're going to be a real tough out there in the home wood. And was it Doug Moe, the coach there, the last time they made it to the finals? No, did they make it one year with Carmelo, the Denver Nuggets? Did they make it to the NBA Finals?
They won one series. I think they made one conference finals one year. No, one of the Nuggets. Have the Nuggets ever been in a finals?
I don't know. Maybe in the ABA. Didn't they win some ABA titles? I think Doug Moe might have been the coach the last time they made it to a championship.
I don't think they've ever made a finals. That's actually interesting. I have to look into that.
All right, well, we'll see. I know. So it remains to be seen if they have the wherewithal to make it this year, even though it appears that they, would be someone in the driver's seat to make it to the championship round. And who knows what kind of problems they're going to pose for whoever represents the East. And it could be, Lubie, your Miami Heat as an 8 seed. That would be a pretty remarkable achievement. Although I think the Heat have more than accomplished, what we would anticipate from them by knocking off Milwaukee. I mean, they've already made it, a very positive playoff. All right, so we've been trying to get to this break here for a while, and so we're going to do it. And we're going to come back and finish things off here on today's edition of the Defo Show. Always great having Dave Gurggles Gergely and the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I'm Jeff DeForest. That's Mike Lubie Lubitz, and we're returning with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:45.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodzie, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks.
What could that have been about except
Gambling.
to hedge or not to hedge?
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Yeah, I think you hit on something today during the show that would be very important for you to, try to cultivate, Mike Lubitz. Welcome back to the program. And that is your somewhat clairvoyant, psychic way of determining which games Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat are going to mail in. You should have been all over this last night, and you should have been all over the prop bets, too, about the scoring numbers and a number of, combined assists and turnovers, whatever. I mean, you should have been on all of that. You would own FanDuel right now. We would not need to go and seek out their sponsorship and backing on our degenerate-oriented shows. But we would own them. We literally would own them if you used your psychic powers and capitalized on what you are good at, which is sensing the collapse of your favorite teams.
Look, I see. I don't want to be that guy because I hate when people do it to my team. So I'm not trying to discount.
But why not cash in on it? Maybe, unfortunately, you have a skill here that goes against.
It's neuroses more than
solid emotional balance.
I don't know if it's skill. It's just my neuroses as a fan. Again, I was giving.
But it's good. I mean, you're on it. You're not always paranoid about every game.
No, I'm not. But I'm the quintessential South Floridian fan. Again, as much as I'm giving Northeastern fans shit, I'm actually trying to give them backhanded credit because I'm jealous of the fact that no matter what's going on, they can believe in their team.
They're confident, yes.
I give them credit for that. They don't get that. Like, I actually wanted to text my buddies the other day. Like, they'll have these conversations with me during a game, even if the Heat are up by 15. And I'm like, how are you? I don't look at my fucking phone the entire
Got you right
game.
when we want you. Exactly.
Like, we're up 15 when I should be the most confident, and I'm fucking scared to death. And I turn my phone over, I put it on silent, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm so jealous of being able to enjoy your team. Like, that's why it bothers me when Julian's saying it. Like, I'm proud of it. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I hate that I'm this way. I don't like that I'm this way. I can't go to a sports bar with my buddies and watch my team. My wife actually, thank God,
No, nobody wants to be around you when you're watching sports.
Well,
except for the comedy. I mean, we used to love it. Yeah.
I think it's obnoxious. It's not fair to them, so I don't want to do it to them. And to me, I don't like being laughed at. It's annoying.
It's especially great when you have money on the game.
I
wow.
know. Money, it's way worse.
I love being around you in those circumstances.
Actually,
we were betting those MAC conference games, when we were hanging out at Fishtails years ago. And it was on, Tuesday night football, and the professor was all over it. And we were cashing on a nightly basis on like Northern Illinois, a weekly basis on the over. It was fantastic. And you, were a pleasure to be around in those circumstances.
See, Julian, you're wrong. Julian, that's not it. No, it's not. No, Defo knows it. It's not. I'm not. My mom does that. My mom does the neuroses thing to another level where she's just going to be negative and then be happy when it's good. No.
That would be my mother in her latter years, unfortunately. I was thinking about it the other day. Yeah.
It's not crying wolf. It's not fictitious. It's not fake. I believe it. And that's why Defo understands. Because I'm right a lot of the time. It's not crying wolf. I get really anxious and nervous in the good with certain teams because I know who they are. And they've proven that through their history. So no,
this you could have been all over this. The way you described it earlier this morning, I guess on the Defo on 5 segment that we do on 5 Reasons Sports Network, and you knew that Jimmy Butler was going to be wandering around on the perimeter there, just almost detached, almost in Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay type of fashion, going, "Yeah, I'm playing, but I'm not really." I'm playing well. I got 19 points. It looks pretty good in a box score. Not bad. Leading scorer for the team.
I'm not trying to spit at Quentin Grimes. Maybe Quentin Grimes did an amazing job. I'm just telling you.
They wanted it more, the Knicks, last night.
From a basketball standpoint, like Defo talks, if you go to the park and Dellavedova comes up, LeBron comes up. If you go play basketball and you have a chance, just defense. Let's say they're never allowed to shoot. They're just playing defense. To have Giannis,
Drew Holiday,
Brook Lopez, who again are all defensive. All three have been all defensive guys in their career, or Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, and Quentin Grimes. Pure basketball. Okay. It's not, Heat aren't even playing. Brutally honest, I'm taking the 3 fucking Buck guys. I'm sorry. I just am. And Butler owned all 3. So I'm not trying to hate on Grimes. I'm not trying to say he didn't have a good game and he can't hold Jimmy at bay. Maybe he can. I'm telling you, as a guy who watched Jimmy Butler own the best defensive team in the league, who's also probably a better offensive team, Jimmy Butler, I don't know why he does it, and maybe it's a situation. We've seen it.
You should have cashed on this, though, Lubie. I mean, all of this fetching really, it doesn't get away from the issue that you have this skill. You sense this was going to happen. The over-under on points on Jimmy Butler has been like in the 27 and a hook range for every game. There's every reason to believe that he's going to, again, seize control of the moment here and try to close out the Knicks single-handedly, carrying the team on his back because he knows that there's no Tyler Hero and that the other guys are inconsistent schmanks, basically, even though we would like to embrace them. And there's a period of time there where they have enough of these guys that if any 2 of them are doing all right, and Jimmy Butler is, being magnificent, then the Heat are going to come out with a victory. It would be a mind blower. I actually wouldn't, almost. It seems very, very, devilish to even consider that. Would it be something to see the local fans' reaction if there had to be a Game 7, Lubie? If somehow the Heat loses Game 6,
it would be crazy.
Come back here and now have to go back to the Garden to play a Game 7, and what that amounts to. In a very subversive type of way, I almost would like to see that happen, where they get that ultimate challenge in the series, and then what if Toronto takes it to 7 now? That would really be something.
These things, I'm okay.
Not out of the question, though. Neither of these propositions, and neither is the likelihood that just as possible is that both of these series end on Friday night, just as possible. So, that's one of the good things. You don't really have a juggernaut team on either side. The Panthers, yes, knocked off the Boston Bruins and look great coming out of the shoot here. But are they annihilating Toronto in this series? I don't think so.
No, the games have been tough. Look, the games have the when you're winning, it's like that Avalanche series, and you talk about it.
Yeah.
The Avalanche did beat the Panthers in 4 games. So that is a sweep.
Right.
They controlled the series. If you watch the games, the Panthers had a chance, and I remember that series. Like, it was a freaking war.
Right. It was a good series.
It was a weird
For a
sweep.
sweep.
Because a
Yeah.
sweep feels like a shitty series. Those games were great. Like, those
Yeah.
games were freaking wars. The Avalanche just had 5 Hall of Famers. Like, the Avalanche team was fucking
They
loaded.
were going to be very hard to overcome, including Patrick Waugh, the human frog there in the pipes. Yeah. All right, we have to finish with this, though. I mean, and I can't imagine what it would have been like. I mean, what would you have done? What would you have done, Lubie, if you were doing the Bob Huggins interview, where he goes off and takes all kinds of ugly
You would have
shots
dropped it.
with slurs that would be very offensive to gay people for sure.
Okay, did he? Well, because we're the rare people that have actually been in these situations. We have to watch. Did he just say the one sentence? Or did
No,
he-
it was repeated a few times.
You would've dropped
let me see if I can find the little diddle here about
you
what
would have dropped
actually
the
happened.
call, and I would apologize to.
Oh, I read it online this morning, but it was.
We
Oh
would've
no, it was in the paper, I think.
If you're asking me what I would have done, we've done it. Like, and
Yeah.
Bob Huggins is a bigger name, so I wouldn't have wanted to ruin a relationship. But we did it. Stu Feiner, the one time, he said fuck on air.
Oh yeah.
We were like, okay, and you made a joke. Oh, I think you've been on too much cocaine. Like, you referenced it. You made a point to referencing.
Yeah, he was on too much cocaine.
And
That
then
was the problem.
he did it again, and I dropped him.
Yeah.
We didn't say anything to him. We dropped him. And I don't care who you are as a guest. That's
Yeah.
literally Radio 101. Like, you don't engage.
Right. Well, what are we going to do? Engage the guy, and it would be like the Ted Koppel thing, right? A long time ago.
Yeah.
With here you go. Huggins keeps job after slur. You want to get into this?
Sure, we have a few minutes if you want to. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. So this is the way they described it. Now they didn't actually print the word here, but it began with an F and rhymes with hags, as in all
Online,
hags.
they're showing the word online if you find it. So those of you.
Okay, so we can. I'm not a big fan of using this word anymore because it is disparaging and derogatory, at least in terms of people that I have absolutely no difficulty with whatsoever. Because do whatever the hell you want. That's my theory.
Well, look,
right?
I agree with Andy. Andy said in the chat, I grew up, I guess, very much like you grew up, even though we're 30 years apart.
Yeah.
That was a word we used a lot, and it was not a slur.
It was constant part of the the ragging on people and ranking out of people in Brooklyn when I was growing up.
It wasn't a slur. I was very open-minded. I was cool with people of all backgrounds. It had become a euphemism for soft. But here's the deal. My wife had, along with the word pussy, okay? That word, even though the vagina is actually probably one of the strongest things in the planet,
Yes.
for some reason it became synonymous with weak. My wife had opened my eyes and said, you understand that that's the thing. It's like, what do you mean? The people that word's usually attached to will take offense to it because you're using them as a term for soft. So it is, even indirectly, a slur.
It's ugliness, man. I mean, look, it's a word that people are offended by. So, I mean, and in this case, sometimes, this is, an example of oversensitivity. In this case, I think it's appropriate to try and dodge using a word if you're a coach of a college basketball team. Just as inappropriate. I mean, to be part of your, while you're doing, what should be a fairly innocent, lighthearted interview. Let's face it, sports, right? We're not exactly dissecting, the deepest problems, that plague the universe. That's for sure. All right. So anyway, here's how it goes. I'll get to the gist of this here. During the interview, Huggins referenced rubber penises that were thrown on the court during a game between Xavier and crosstown rival Cincinnati, where Huggins coached from 1989 to 2005. No, what it was. Well, let's see. Let me see. No, what it was all those fags, those Catholic fags. Huggins said they were envious that they didn't have one, or that they had one, or something. He was referencing the penises there. All right. Just as I say that, my screen goes blank here. Libby, do you still have me?
I hear you. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
That's what happened. This thing is in some kind of sleep mode, this crazy
sleep
computer.
mode thing. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you are on air. I hope you can hear me. I it's funny, as a radio person, it's gold in a sense, because you're getting a coach who never says anything to be very free, but he went too far. Like he went to like another place, like where it's actually egregious and this sort of disgusting. And that's the thing, is a lot of these shock jock people would just keep going. You and I aren't those people. We would have ended the interview 100%.
I think you had to, yeah. So anyway, he ends up what? Okay, there we are. I couldn't find the right.
Change the setting for you.
Right mouse. Yeah. It's something. It's got to be in some kind of sleep mode. This thing, because it just keeps going wanting to shut off, which is a pain in the neck. And as soon as I move this thing, it goes right back to being fine. That's ugliness. I mean, how do you keep the guy on board at that point? I mean, is that a cancel culture thing? They kind of made it worse by restructuring his contract based on this interview, which makes you think, okay, we really don't think that this is something that we should be condoning or tolerating this kind of position. But I don't know. I mean, Bob Huggins in sensitivity training seems like a real stretch of the imagination, doesn't it? This was part of the condition of him keeping his job. Now on a year-to-year basis, he was making $4.2 million. They dropped it to $3.2. They're going to suspend him for 3 games. But the sensitivity training part was the part that I thought was particularly a useless maneuver. No, where I mean, can you imagine this guy sitting there in like a group session? Bob Huggins is going to be sitting there, who's an old curmudgeon type. I mean, this guy's old school. He probably thought it was cool that he was using this kind of language.
100%. He thought he was being funny and glib.
Although he has apologized in deep sincerity.
Well, because they told him to, and no one believes what the fuck he did. He didn't even give himself a chance to think about it.
He's probably thinking, I got to apologize to these fags now? What are you talking about? They were throwing rubber penises at my team.
And again, I'm laughing because I haven't heard someone say that word out loud in a long time. Again, like even the world.
That was a big insult when I was a kid. I mean, if you called
we
somebody
all said it, and you stopped saying it. We all stopped saying it, like because again, we've realized what it means, and people have told us it hurts them.
It's just I mean, it's cold. It's insensitive. There are other things that you could possibly.
Soft. You can say soft. You're not offending anyone. You say soft. You'll hurt their feelings just as much, and you're not offending a whole group of friggin' people.
But I mean, a guy that is in a position that's very much in the public eye, like Bob Huggins, obviously should be aware that when he's on the radio, it probably was, going a bit far to, continue. I mean, apparently there was more than one time. It wasn't like it slipped out or something, And
he wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe I said it. He was laughing and he kept doing it. He shouldn't have. Look, and I get it. You gotta.
And the radio host went Billy Bush, and they were laughing along with him.
You got to take where into account. It is West Virginia. I get it.
Yeah. He might get unanimous agreement that this was more than appropriate there. It's possible. All right. Anyway, I can't wait to see the results of the sensitivity training of Bob Huggins, who we had on an interview, as I mentioned, one time. And literally it was like they dug him out of an all-night bender and put him on the air. And he was like, this is to Leslie Visser. Why you calling me now? It's like, because you agreed to do this interview, Bob. We just called at the time you said. Most coaches are up and at them. You think Dusty May is sleeping at 9 o'clock in the morning after an all-night drunk? I don't think so.
What do you mean? We've had Larry Nagin in the middle of the NBA playoffs when their season's done, and he should get his 5 minutes of vacation. And it's been early, and he's been like an NBA analyst for us.
He's fantastic. Yeah. All right, we got to run. We have a couple of things coming up. We'll have our Believe podcast up later on today, and that is going to feature Vinny Paladin, who is with Court TV and has a new series out, Accomplice to Murder. Wow, this guy's top notch though, very highly regarded. Former
you have a
New Jersey State prosecutor. Yeah,
you're always a fan of the court discussion.
I am a fan of courts and trials.
So I
was a big Court TV viewer for many, many years. I don't watch it much anymore, but I mean, and all of those trials that were, televised, like Casey Anthony, and of course, who could miss a day of the Juice trial? That was unbelievable. All right, so we'll see you later on that, and also Mike Mayo's Lunchbox at 12 o'clock today. Tomorrow we'll be out at Gulfstream Park with the Lunchbox. That should be fun. So remind me to pick up that nickel that Piscataway Ray is holding for me.
Yes.
I'll use that as my bankroll.
Say it again on Mayo's behalf. Go to someone to look at your hand, at least to take blood.
Yeah, I may have to. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sounds good. We'll see you guys later on as we leave you on that.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
It's 9:04.
Welcome to my show.
That's good enough, Louie. We'll sign
Yeah, I
off.
did that wrong.
All right. See you later.